Welcome to the new episode of All That Jazz. I'm your host, Matias, and I have with me my friend, Nicolas Rodriguez. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Matthias. Hi, everyone.
So, I've known you for a while. We've been in the same Skype group and all that, but recently you've started painting, and that I found infinitely fascinating. And there was a lot of great slash funny comments that people get that you get when there's like naked like paintings and all that, and it's all fun. But our primary connection is let's start from the beginning, the spiritual journey. So we share in common as well Dr. David Hawkins, our teacher. So let's start a few years ago before you were spiritual. So what was happening in your life then?
um, Before I was spiritual, I was a pretty common person. I mean, I went to school.
Yeah.
Well, I was pretty dark person. Actually, I used to listen to heavy metal. I had a like heavy metal rock band. I played the guitar, and I wasn't very good at school. I was pretty lazy. I had like good grades for one that's lazy, but so after preparing the some tests, I entered med school, and I became pretty. I wouldn't say I was a full atheist, but I was really not concerned with the topic of God in general.
Right.
It
So
wasn't on my mind.
you didn't care if there was a God or not. You're just like it wasn't your concern.
Yeah, absolutely. I was pretty like mundane, and I was much more concerned with money, prestige, um, developing a good career. Yeah, those were like science mainly.
Yeah.
So I entered med school, and in there I was pretty, as I say, mundane, and I started developing a huge like pride, and in the both good and bad way, about science in general. Like I would think it is like the biggest thing there's on earth.
Right. It's the best. Nothing
Yeah,
beats science. Right. Right.
yeah, yeah,
And so then I assume you ran into some trouble.
yeah. I ran into many troubles. Yeah. Well, starting pretty early in life, like when I was in high school, I became addicted to like sexual stuff on the internet, and I developed many addictions. I developed addictions to alcohol. Um, I had like a psychological addiction to weed, marijuana,
Oh wow.
mainly, and yeah, I was pretty. I had pretty like addictive character, personality. Yeah,
So some people say that weed or marijuana is not addictive. So, but you would say for you it definitely was.
I would say it was psychologically addicting. Like the whole lifestyle of listen to reggae music and smoking weed every day and doing mainly nothing during the day except being high.
Right.
It was just like addictive to the lifestyle, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then I assume it got progressively worse as it went on and on and on.
Yeah. I mean, um, at first it was pretty bad from the beginning. Like I went into it pretty hard from the beginning. When I was 14 years old, I started developing all these kinds of addictions, and then I had a huge break thanks to a spiritual experience when I was in med school.
Mm.
And after that, I went to the tubes, into the tubes, down to tubes, and it became really worse, like really bad.
Right. So, but it's like the spiritual experience saved you. So, what happened during the spiritual experience?
Yeah. So I was in med school. I was in third year, and it was like June of that year. The whole spiritual experience lasted for like 3 months. It was from June till mid September of that year. It was 2011. And I remember I was studying for a medical school exam, And I was reading, and my mind became progressively louder and full of thoughts, and I could hear all this noise inside of me, and it became more intense and more intense and more intense, and then it reached like a peak, and I felt like when someone pulls a string and sounds like dong,
Yeah.
like that, and suddenly my mind became silent, like absolutely silent, no thoughts at all. And I remember being quite in disbelief because it was like, whoa, man, this is amazing. And that started a journey that, well, just after this, some days later, I went to Jerusalem and I did the whole like holy trip, could you say? Like, I went to the stations of the crucifixion. I
Mm-hmm.
was in Bethlehem. I was where Jesus was born, and that was pretty like a powerful experience. And after that, the experience became progressively better and better. I feel like I was raising in my level of consciousness as the experience moved forward. And I remember, for example, like I would hold a thought in mind, I would hold something in mind, and it would manifest like pretty quickly. It was really cool. And I felt like a progressive joy and a progressive, like exquisite energy uh, feeling I had in my body. Like I would feel like this really exquisite energy that would energize me, and I would like do a lot of stuff during the day, like activities like going on my bike, doing sports, studying, and I was progressively becoming more like functional in the world. And at the peak of it, like in September, I felt like this intense energy that like nothing would surpass it. Like external events were like peripheral, like they were like really like something that wasn't connected with this energy.
Mm.
And I remember one day I was walking to my home, and I would see I saw some plants, and they will like radiate this exquisite and beautiful energy, and they were like radiant, efflorescent, and full of life. And the vision was so exquisite that I couldn't stand straight. It was like, oh my god, I felt like something knocked me up, like I couldn't stand straight. And then I remembered this energy stayed with me for like the whole day, and I was at night in my bed, and I would feel so good. And it was such a non-linear space. Like there wasn't limits. Like right now, I feel like there's some limits to my mind and to my body,
Right.
but I felt in such a non-linear space, like without like the space, and I would feel like expansive, and the energy was so good. And I remember thinking I could die and I wouldn't even care. Like I could die and I wouldn't even care. And that's when this experience ended. And it was very intense, very like intimate, like an intimate connection. And at the time, I couldn't like, I didn't knew a context where I could like hold it and understand it. I
Right.
just experienced it, you
Which
know?
year was this? Do you remember?
Yeah, 2011. Yeah.
2011. Wow.
Uh huh.
Okay, so that's the year where roughly where Doc did the last lecture in September of 2011, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Uh
Wow.
huh.
So that must have been I don't think I've ever had an experience like that, but it sounds like to me it was like almost like karmically ordained that you had an experience. What's your feel on that? Like, because obviously you were living your life in a way that was maybe you could say not aligned to with God, and then still you have a spiritual experience. What do you attribute that to?
I think my intuition tells me it was like the consequence of previous lifetimes and previous spiritual work in other lifetimes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's the
this,
only way I can explain it
yeah,
because, yeah.
because you weren't doing anything. You weren't doing any meditation. You weren't doing any praying. You were just
Nothing.
doing intense studying, basically. Maybe
Yeah.
that was a
I was
part of it,
basically,
though.
yeah, basically in the 400s doing intellectual work. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But and medical school was very intense though. You were
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah,
right. So you
I
had to
remember.
study all days, right?
Yeah, yeah, every day you have to study, and it's pretty rough. And it became like harder and harder every year. Like some people talk, you need to have like that fire in the belly to get through medical school, and I think that's correct. You know.
Right. So it's almost sounds like it's a very intense spiritual. It's not a spiritual spirit, but it's a very intense experience too. Because I think Doc did medical school as well, and he said
Yeah,
you have to be really really committed, otherwise it's impossible. And
yeah,
he would go to sleep really late and then wake up early, and all that. But
yeah.
he even had a job as well. I know. Wow, this just
It's just, yeah,
uh,
mind blowing.
that's a lot of work. Okay, so
Yeah,
after that experience, what happens then?
I went basically down the tubes. I started like I felt like I was abandoned by this energy that afterwards I attributed it to God, and I just wanted to came back to it because the space was so good. Like the joy was so intense that I went down the tubes because I became progressively worse in my alcoholism. And I started drinking more. I started watching more porn. I then started hiring prostitutes, and I would party like many days a week. And as you can see, after like this experience, I went down to tubes, and really what like this caused was that I couldn't stay any longer in medical school. So I left. I dropped out,
Mhm.
and I kept searching for something, but at the same time, I was like very intensely addicted to many substances and behaviors. And I remember that I started reading like spiritual literature. Well, spiritual. I started with I started, with like the fallen gurus and stuff. I started with Osho and with Deepak Chopra and that kind of people. And I remember also I was very into like seduction and masculinity and showing how much of a man you are. And I was reading an article saying the nine most powerful books men can read. And in that list, there was Power versus Force. And
Mm,
I said, okay, I'm going to order these books. And I ordered Power versus Force. And when it came here to Chile from Amazon, I opened the book. I started reading the preface, and I remember the exact moment I was like lying like in a mat, and I was smoking a cigarette, and I actually felt like a physiological change while reading it, and it was like wow, because the preface talks about like you can see if this person is like a good romantic interest, but you can take it further, like is this a good investment, this company's over 200, like all the money and the fact that you can know everything in the universe in a matter of seconds. And that really hit me, like that changed me, and I said like this is it, like wow, this I want to read more of this.
right,
And as I would read, I became like a dog student, in the sense that I started to study his work, but I was getting also progressively worse in alcoholism and my bad behaviors.
right,
And I couldn't stop reading, but I also couldn't stop drinking and couldn't stop like doing my bad behaviors. And what happened after the spiritual experience that I found spirituality, and I sensed like this could bring me back like the previous spiritual experience. This was in 2011, but I still striving to get there.
right. Hey, you ever seen that movie? What's that movie where Shangri-La is in the movie? I think
Yeah, Shangri-La,
Lost Horizon, right?
Lost Horizon. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's if I'm not mistaken, that's a Frank Capra movie. Anyway, so in
Hmm.
Shangri-La, what happens? For those who haven't seen it, they find this place called Shangri-La, and everything's really amazing, really awesome. and then somehow they lost it, and then the main character, I think, tries his whole life to get back to that space. And it sounds to me like a little bit that you were trying, even though you're trying to that addiction and to all that stuff, you're trying to get back to that place where you were in the summer of 2011, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And you're still trying to get back, basically. You're still trying to,
yeah, yeah.
wow.
It's like I feel like I won't be happy, not happy. I won't be satisfied until I achieve it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Did,
it's
did you have any trouble with the muscle checking or muscle testing? Some people have trouble accepting it, but you saw right away the potential that it could be just transformative. You were just like amazed.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have any troubles. I have a lot of faith in it, and the results are showing me like daily that it works. I'm actually using it for my daily life, and it's pretty good because, for example, the other day, my intuition, my emotions, everything was telling me this wasn't a good idea, and I calibrated something, and I get a true result. So I should do it. And okay, I did it, and after the experience, it was everything. It was okay. So everything turned out good, and I was like, wow. So this really like truth versus like emotions, facts, like sentimentality, etc.
Right. But so, because sometimes it's not intuition, sometimes it's just fear or something like that, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard to distinguish. Yeah, and the thing people, I think a lot of people have trouble with muscle testing is being objective. So obviously, if
yeah,
you're gonna calibrate political figures, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, whoever, AOC, you might find it hard because you have a emotional investment. So I
yeah,
think what I would recommend people that are new to docs work is try it on things that don't have such a high importance on you, but still, I, but I think it's important to ask also permission, right? Because you don't want to
yeah.
just do it without permission. And so, how does that look like when you try to test it for yourself? I'm
Okay,
curious.
yeah. So in the overall context, I try to ask for questions that I don't have a really high attachment. Like I wouldn't calibrate Donald Trump or Joe Biden because in my mind it's difficult to stay detached. For example, especially with Joe Biden. And what I would do is I would say, in the name of the highest good, do I have permission to ask this? And then I would calibrate, resist.
Do
Okay,
you
so
do that?
just
What
no.
do you do? Like this or
O-ring method.
oh,
O-ring.
O-ring? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then I would ask, in the name of the highest good, in a scale of consciousness that goes from 1 to 1,000, 600 being alignment, um, in the context, in the in the context of absolute truth, does this? And I asked the question. So I,
You're translating from Spanish because you do it in Spanish, right?
yeah, yeah, it is,
Okay.
yeah,
So you are for the audience that doesn't know, you are Nicolas Rodriguez. He's from Chile. So if the
yeah,
name doesn't give it away, he's from Chile, right?
yeah,
So okay, there's different methods, obviously, and it's not like one is absolutely right. There's the O-ring method, which you described. I believe it's something like this, right? Uh,
yeah, yeah. I
and
do that.
then
This, yeah.
so yeah, demonstrate how does it look like? Because
I,
some
I
of
would
my
do it
audience
like
doesn't know.
this with
Yeah,
my pinky finger and my thumb,
yeah,
and I would use actually this finger because I think the problem is if you use these fingers, it's difficult to notice the strength difference. But with this one, it's easier. But I would use this one and pull. And I would say resist and pull rapidly. Like Doc said, it must be quick, and
quick
not much
response.
force. I try to use not much strength in it. But,
Right.
well, sometimes I use, sometimes I don't. I know I will get some positives, like false positive and false negatives, because of I'm not perfect, but I found that this method is working right now for me. And the other one is the pendulum, where you use your body, and if it's true, you go forward, and if it's false, you go backwards.
Right. So you stand up, and then if you go
Yeah,
forward, then yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one
I
is a very good one also.
I think a doc also recommended, Dr. Hawkins recommended that you, I don't know, get a stack of books, and it's the
Yeah,
same stack of books, and then you lift them.
yeah,
And if something is true, then it'll be easier to lift those books, and if something is false, then it'll be harder to lift those books. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
so, but I don't recommend that that weight be too much. You don't want to strain yourself too much.
Yeah.
And earlier you're talking about that you were into other books that were not quite spiritual. So, like, give me an idea.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like when I started reading spiritual books?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, following gurus. Yeah, like Osho. He would say like you have to be careful with Jesus, and he would speak bad about Jesus. Like that's something I wouldn't expect from a spiritual teacher, no matter what his denomination is.
Right. Uh,
Um,
yeah, I saw him once say about Mother Teresa that she should jump into a lake.
wow. Yeah.
I,
No, the guy was really, and there was also a story where he goes. I think this guy got like 50 Mustangs or something like that, or
yeah,
Rolls Royce. I don't know
yeah,
which
Rolls
brand, but
Royce. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He would tell a story when he was in his car, and he would just put the foot on the pedal of the gas, and he would go like to stupid speeds because according to him, if he was going, he wouldn't care because if he would die, he died, and if he don't, he doesn't. But I feel like the context, it's a whole one of like temerarity, like not courage. It's and not like karmic disposition, but something like um
like
it's pretty stupid.
recklessness or extreme sports. But
Recklessness.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, yeah.
right, right. And that's not something. That's not something that Doc would encourage. He would encourage. He encouraged responsibility,
Yeah.
kindness, things like that. Not, go as fast as you can and see if you can. I mean, what is that? But
Well, yeah, in fact, Dr. Hawkins recommended like not pushing your luck, like not pushing it.
yeah, I think there's a doc video that says your life is like let's use this. There's like a vase, so you wouldn't put it where the wind could blow it over. You put it where in a safe space. You wouldn't
Yeah,
play around
exactly.
with it. Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So then you discover Dr. Hagen's work, and you start going to Power versus Force, and then what do you do?
I kept reading his other books and Eye of the Eye, Letting Go, etc. And then I discovered that he did lectures. And some of them, I think the ones from 2002 and 2000 and something, were on the Pirate Bay for free. There was
Right.
there was a bunch of it. Yeah, I downloaded them. That wasn't very karmically correct, but I started hearing them and watching them, and I remember like this guy is awesome. Like his sense of humor was like out of this world. I mean, this guy would make jokes that would make like comedians blush.
Right.
He's like really non-attached, and he really didn't care about I don't know, like the approval of others, and that attracted me a lot. And I kept doing my addictive habits, and in his books he recommends spiritual groups and to stay in holy company, like if you stay in holy company, you'll get an energy you wouldn't get otherwise. And I say, okay, I think I'll do this. And like 5 months after taking the decision to join spiritual groups, I hit it bottom. Like I stole a credit card and I went to a whorehouse, and I spent like 10Ks, like $10,000 on a night, and like half of them were like stolen from the credit card, and I'm still paying it. I'm still paying it,
Wow.
but yeah, it was like how would it say? the funny thing is, the same day I did that was the day I finished the Course of Miracle textbook. It was pretty weird, and but I got a pretty big lesson, and I tell this with a purpose because even when I was there, I felt like I wasn't in danger. Like it was something I needed to go through, no matter how much anxiety producing it was, to realize the truth that I couldn't do it alone. And after that, I joined the groups, and my life has been going well since then. Yeah,
You joined the 12 step groups, right?
I joined spiritual community, yeah,
Yeah.
and of course in Miracles group
Okay.
and Dog Flock and many groups. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Cool. How did the so I was very surprised when we talked before, because you told me that you were not painting before, and this is something that happened later. So what happened? Well, how did you? Is this like a divine given talent? What happened?
Oh yeah. So I always like from this, like my whole hitting bottom happened in 2016, and I wanted to paint in 2015, but it just wouldn't come up to me. It just wouldn't go up. And after I joined the groups, I started playing poker because I wanted to become a professional poker player, like Poker Stars, etc.
I
All the
had this.
glamour.
I had the same for a while. Yeah, yeah, years ago.
Uh
Yeah.
huh. Uh huh. Yeah. So I did it for some months. I went to a school, like they were forming professional players, and after some months, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I read like gambling is non-integrous, like
Yeah.
non-integrous.
180.
And I
It's like,
said,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I left it, and I realized I was changing one addiction for another. I
Right.
was changing alcohol, pornography, etc. for gambling. And I said, okay, now I'm desperate. I don't know what to do with my life. I was some months sober, like I had like 3 months of sobriety, total sobriety. And I went to Peru because my family wanted to go to Lima, which is the capital. And like some days after our trip, there was a festival called the Festival of the Lord of the Miracles. There's a wall and there's a painting of Jesus, and it's very old. It's like from 17th century, something like that. And people have been praying there, and they've been getting like spontaneous recoveries from fatal illnesses, etc. So after, of course, I did a course in miracles, I started to believe in miracles. And I said, okay, I'm going to stay some more days here in Lima, and I will go to the festival and ask for a miracle. So I went to the festival and I saw the wall and I asked for a miracle, and something really like cool happened because I felt like a claw that was going through me, like from my back to my chest, was being taken away, and I was free of something. It was like almost I was free of the hand of Satan or something.
Wow.
And after that, when I returned to Chile, some days after, I was in a painting class because I got subscribed to it. And I remember I was doing a portrait and I was putting some brush strokes, and I thought, man, I could do this my whole life, like my whole life. And from that moment on, I decided to become a professional painter, and I've never left painting since then. I've been painting since then.
Wow. So,
Yeah,
it just happened, and you just started painting like without ever painting before.
yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, give me a context. Like, were you ever in art class when you were younger, and were you drawing and you weren't drawing good, or how were you before?
I would used to draw a lot when I was a kid, like when I was in kindergarten, like 5 6 year old. I would draw a lot, and after that, I would draw just occasionally. But I had never tried oil painting or something like painting in general. And I spent many years like doing nothing. I got good grades on art in school, but it was something I really wasn't like though I was connected to art like in a good or bad way my whole life, like I would see
Hmm.
art, etc. But yeah. Yeah, like there was something.
So it's possible you had some talent already, but it was enhanced. Maybe it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, it was like manifested. It was like, okay, now I'm going to follow my muse and I'm going to do this.
But isn't it interesting that you were already subscribed to the painting class, and then the synchronicity of you praying for a miracle, and then that happens, the claw comes out, the
Uh-huh.
metaphorical claw, or whatever it was when you got goes out, and or the energy attachment, whatever it was. But you saw it as a claw, and then you start
Yeah.
painting, and then you immediately feel like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah, and I wasn't subscribed before I asked for the miracle. It was
Okay.
after. As
Oh, after.
yeah,
Okay. Okay.
so yeah, it was pretty quick. Like for example, a Friday, I saw like an atelier, which is a painting place, open, and I said, okay, I'm going to subscribe. I sent some WhatsApp. I said, okay, I'm going to send you the money. I sent the money. I go and bought the materials, and on Monday I was painting. It was pretty, yeah,
But like, can
just
they
like that.
did they recognize that they were like, oh, you paint really good already, or was it like what happened
Yeah,
in
yeah. In
class?
fact, I learned like very quickly, and after that, I changed from place because the place wasn't very integrous. Like they were drawing like pornographic pictures and stuff like
Oh, I
that,
see. Okay.
and I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. I want to do art, like with A, um, capital A. And I changed place, and then I went to another place and started painting like every day. I subscribed. I said, hey, can I paint every day? And they say, okay, yeah, it's this kind of money. Yeah, okay, I paid. And yeah, they start recognizing my talent. They would say, oh wow, you paint really good, etc. Like
Mm.
I remember even one of my first like paintings was a study from Jose de Rivera, which is a Spanish painter from like 17th century, and everyone liked it. It was like, oh wow, I thought this was like a painting of a master, etc. And I was
Wow.
like, wow, yeah, yeah. And I remember like the first years I painted a lot and draw a lot. And the thing is, I couldn't do it that much because oil painting, it's pretty, it just smudge everything. Like you get dirty on the clothes, etc. It's
Right.
pretty hard in that
And
sense.
it takes time, right? Probably takes a lot of time.
Yeah, lots of time, and it takes time to dry. Like the painting to dry, it takes a lot of time. Yeah.
Right. So you were you decided to go back to school at some point. Is that correct, right?
Yeah, yeah. I decided to go to university again. Like that's my plan B, my B plan. Like going to school, and now I'm on second year of psychology
Hmm.
and doing psychology. So I'm pretty happy about that too because I like started doing it with a lot of intensity too.
Right. You didn't want to go back to doing medicine like before.
I tried, but it was too many years between when I left and when I wanted to return.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you
I was
have to
like,
start from the beginning, right? You'd have to start.
yeah, yeah, and you have to
Right.
enter. And nowadays with the standards, it's pretty impossible. Like because I've got like bad grades from school because I was lazy,
Hmm.
and you need like top grades to enter medical school right now. Right now.
But how did you manage to get into medical school when you were younger?
Oh, I entered a school that just asks for a good test because you do a test to enter university,
Oh,
and some of them ask you for grades and test. Some ask just for test, and some ask like for a really great percentage of grades and small percentage of test.
hmm.
Yeah,
So uh, by the way, when did that experience with the painting at that miracle in Peru? When did that happen?
that was in 2016.
16. Okay. And you've been
4 years ago.
painting, and you've been painting ever since, like on and off.
Yeah, mostly on
Okay.
because I dedicated myself full time for like the first 3 years. And it was pretty intense because I went to many ateliers. I painted a lot and I draw a lot. And I read a lot about art. Like I would read hundreds and hundreds of books and hear podcasts, etc. Like I really went into it. I like immersing myself.
And also, I understand you also seeing you on a Skype group. You also read a lot. So in the previous years, you read a lot of books. And how did that? Is that mostly was centered towards psychology? Is that correct?
um well, this year, like last year, it was pretty centered on psychology. Yeah, I read many books on psychology. But over the years, I've read like lots of books about many subjects. And right now, I'm mostly centered on the great books of the Western world, which Doc recommended, Dr. Hawkins. And I've read like lots of art books and lots of business books. I like business books and biographies of great people and
Mm.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, those are like probably the best books you can read, like the great books and also the great people, their biographies that I think you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Um, so, what are some? Yeah, I think I want to read more because, like, I think you're an inspiration to me that because you read so much that I think it's possible if I apply myself and read more. Because I want to learn more, and obviously, I think Hawkins said that the basis for intellectual sophistication is to do the to read the great books of the Western world. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that surprise you when you were reading those books?
Mm, I would say the subjects they treat, like, for example, Plato treats justice like the great ideas. They treat like justice. Um, where does the inspiration of poets come from? That kind of stuff. Then on the novels, because I've read most of the novels, just the sheer amount of creativity they put into it, like Cervantes or, I mean, Swift and Sterne, Laurence Sterne. The whole, like, Laurence Sterne books, it's about spoiler alert here, small spoiler, small spoiler.
Okay.
The whole book it's about his biography, but if you go through the book, you can read 40% of it, and he still wasn't born. It's really like, it's like, man,
Wow.
who can do a book like a great book that he wasn't even born then, and he speaks about his mother pregnancy, etc. And on the mathematical side, yeah, I've read like some Euclid,
Yep.
Euclid a bit.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just like when Dr. Hawkins talk about this is the intellectual basis for Western society. I can feel it to be true. Like this rationality coming to the forefront, very like structured, really intelligent. There's some philosophers there that I think it's Bacon, that the guy is really structured. Like this word means this word means that, and it's really impressive. Yeah.
Right. And I love that name, Francis Bacon. It's just a legendary name.
Yeah. Hmm.
um, by the way, did you read any Thomas Sowell? Because I know there's a video where Doug says that he was his favorite, I think, contemporary philosopher. He was 480, Thomas Sowell.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't yet. I haven't yet, but I think I
He
will.
Thomas Sowell is amazing, but
Yeah.
I'm biased because I'm studying economics and I just love Thomas Sowell.
Yeah.
So and so in recent times you told me, and this is another thing that surprised me, but it kind of makes sense because reading books is time consuming. So you decided this year to do what?
I decide to read as few books as I can
Because
because I want to dedicate more hours to work. Yeah,
to work as in painting mostly,
in painting. Yeah, mainly.
right?
Yeah.
But as I understand it, you're starting to gather a pretty good following with painting, and
Yeah.
I see you posting pictures of paint, your paintings all the time, and they're amazing. I saw there was
Thank
a
you.
painting you made recently of Dr. Hawkins, and it was I'll try to put it in the description, but it was quite like it had a warm feeling to it. It was really nice, and it was. I think it was better in a way. It was better than the one that Scott Jeffries used in that Doctor of Truth book.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that title, but that's another thing. I'm not. I won't go. This is another subject. Okay, so
Yeah.
wow. So you've read like in the past 4 years. How many books would you say you read?
Um, in the past 4 years,
Yes, or past five, let's say.
more or less, in the past 4 years, 400 books.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. And these are
I've been
these are not short books. These are like really thick, like these are like normal big books as well.
yeah, many of them are larger than 1,000 pages. Yeah, no, I've been dedicating myself to reading a lot. Like I could read like the whole day
So
sometimes.
you would average how many hours would you average reading
I would say between 3 and 5 yearly, like every day.
every day? Wow,
Yeah,
that's quite a commitment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But the most intense periods for me, it's here in Chile in January and February, we have summer. And in summer, you have like vacations, like holidays when you're a student. And in that period, I would read like 50 books and then read 50 more in the rest of the year. But January and
Wow.
February for me were like the moments where I woke up, started reading, ate, read, read, sleep again, and do it all over again for like 2 months. It was like kind of
Wow.
just getting information.
It was like your book camp. Like your book camp
Yeah,
was the summer.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
um,
And there's so many great books you can read, still be very selective, and you won't get time to read all the books you want. It's impressive. Yeah.
I saw that Harvard has a collection of their own version of the great books that they're
Yeah.
selling on Amazon.com for $2, and it has
Yeah.
like if you convert them to normal pages, is 50,000 pages, and they're selling it for $2.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Uh,
Like that. I wish the the Mortimer Adler great books were available on Kindle, but I think
yeah.
a lot of people would prefer normal books. Like do you prefer to read like hard copy, or do you like also the Kindle version,
I prefer the hard copy, like physical copy.
physical? Yeah.
And according to one of my psychology professors, when you read a book in physical format, there is more neuronal engagement on it. Like you use more parts of your brain, according to him,
Wow.
than when you read from a screen. And I didn't knew that. I hope it's true. But I felt more comfortable in paper because I can also um, just how do you say, underline things, and
Yeah.
just yeah, you can manipulate it more.
Right. Like in digital form, you can kind of underline, but it's not the same, I guess, because the notes you put are not stored at the same page. You have to go into it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, okay, that's interesting. I would like to see if there is any studies comparing people that are reading on a digital device and comparing people that are reading on a book.
yeah.
I'd love to see that. Okay, so now we go to towards painting. So now you've
Mhm.
dedicated yourself this year to paint more, and as you do something more and more, you get better, and it seems to me that you're getting more clients as well, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In fact, I'm getting like one order every day, more or
Wow.
less. Yeah, it's pretty good. I wasn't expecting that much success, but I was talking like in past November 2020, with a friend, Isadora, and she said, why don't you sell your paintings really cheap, like $20 for the most cheap painting? And I said, okay, let's try. and I put a Facebook ad on Instagram, and I put it like from the 23rd of November till the 30th, and I got so many responses like, I want a painting, I want a painting, I want a painting, I want a painting. I did like 40, I think 40 paintings for Christmas. Like
Wow.
it was really, yeah, it was really like, wow. It was like, I worked every day on it. And when I started painting, one thing I set as a goal, Doc would say in Success is for You, if you become something, then be the best the world has ever seen, you know? Like be really good at it. So manifest excellence. And my goal is to become a master, a great master of painting. So I think I have to put like 10,000 hours of deliberate practice, like actual painting on it. So I'm trying to do that. I'm striving to do my best. Uh,
Right.
that's my goal, you know?
That's
Yeah.
an admirable goal, and you seem to
Thanks.
be making good progress. And I will share. I'll figure out a way to share some of your paintings in the description so people can look it up and see how your paintings actually look like. And
Yeah.
what's the story about a lot of people, a lot of women I found that like naked pictures and then paintings of themselves. So what happens then? Do they just send the do you instruct them a pose, or they like, oh, I'm gonna do my own pose and then you just paint that?
That's fun because I'm not pushy at all. Like I try not to push it, but most of the women's I've worked for they send me the pictures already. I don't instruct the pose. I don't instruct anything. They say, "Yeah, I've got these pictures. Can you use them?" And I'm like, okay. Let's see. I see the pictures, and if I like them, I use them. I found out that most of the girls that want to be painted naked have already like taken naked pictures in the past. Like they like to appear naked on visual media, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have come through Tinder, other through Instagram. So it's pretty fun.
Wait, to Tinder?
Yeah, yeah,
Do you advertise on Tinder? Are you like, I'm a painter, and then they're like, oh, I'll hit you up, and they're like, oh, I want the painting. Can you do a painting for me?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, some
Wow.
girl like, so can I be your muse? And I was okay, let's do it, and we did it. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
But also, this is a business as well. So you're making. Did you make? By the way, I think with Tinder, I'm not on Tinder anymore, but I think you can make like a worldwide profile, and you can change locations in the world.
Yeah,
So you can go like 1 week you can be in Los Angeles, and you can get all these different offers from people from Los Angeles, and then another you can be in London, England. So you
yeah,
can do that as well.
yeah. Well, I got a confession to make.
Okay.
I'm really a Russian women addict. like, like I buy like Tinder Plus or like the paid version of Tinder, and I
Yes.
always end up in St. Petersburg, like matching with girls from there, and that's where I've got many of the women that I've painted, and I also like say to them, I would love to paint you, and do you want to? And they say okay, but I don't know why, but I love Russian women. I love to talk to them, and it's just like a quirk. I don't know.
Yeah. I've met some of them, and they. I think with Russians, there's definitely a difference between the previous generation and the newest generation, because the old generation was born in the Soviet Union, and people with quite hard, and because of the system was bad, and that makes kind of people more corrupt. But now the new generation, I think, is quite different, and it's getting quite better. Although, have you? There's I think there's a Harry Coffer quote where he says that if a culture is communist, it will take several generations before it becomes normal.
Uh-huh.
Oh, by the way, oh, I was gonna ask as well. Good that I remember. So a lot of people criticize Milton Friedman because this is now we're getting a bit of economics. Are
Yeah, yeah,
criticizing Friedman because he supported, I think, was it Pinochet, the
yeah,
the kind of dictator that supported some of the like free economics, basically.
yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
what kind of like record does he have? Like, do people see Pinochet as mostly good, or how is he seen in Chile?
Well, that's a very interesting subject because well, Pinochet was a dictator, and he's seen as such here in Chile. Like, of he has his supporters, like people who supports him like unconditionally, but most people see him like as let's say as dictator, like a bad guy. But in his government, which lasted like 18 years, there was a group of economists that went to Chicago to study with Milton Friedman,
Right.
and they were the first ones to implement capitalism in Chile, in Latin America. They were the first one in Latin America, and this is the power of really great ideas like capitalism. I'm a huge supporter of capitalism and free enterprise, neoliberalism, because it just there isn't any better way to create wealth, at least that I know of.
Right.
And these guys implemented it, and 20 years after, Chile had the best economy of Latin America. Like, we were leading the economy here in Latin America, and the left then came to power, and some of them supported like the capitalist idea, some of them tried to destroy it. But it's funny that Milton Friedman really wasn't a supporter, I think, of the the dictatorship. I think he was a supporter of the economic position they took, uh, the position, because this is weird, but Chile has is the first country that elected a communist by democracy. Like, they voted for a communist, and the guy destroyed the country so much that after 3 years, people were begging for the military to take over, and the military did it. They attacked like the palace, the government palace. They bombarded it, and after that, the military took the power.
And that's how Pinochet got in, basically. Is that what?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that. So, but then before Pinochet got in, the economics in when Chile was it like average? Was it like average of?
Well, after Allende, it's the communist president, the first one in Chile of communism. The economy was so bad that people had to do huge just lines to get a bit of food. It was like Venezuela right now. The
Hmm,
same thing. If you apply communist, it doesn't matter where, you get the same results over and over. Famine, poor people, like bad behaviors. You get all the bad stuff because that's the essence of it. Bad.
yeah,
It's bad.
and
And
so since Pinochet, Chile has been number one in Latin America, and it's been ever since. Like, is it still number one?
no, it isn't, because they changed many things, and the it is number one right now, but it's still pretty good. Like, for example, when people left Venezuela, most of them came to Chile, like a huge number of them, because it's a free country and we have good laws and we have like a good economy. Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
but we're in trouble right now. We're in trouble
Yeah.
because there's going to be a change in the constitution soon, and our constitution supported neoliberalism, like capitalism, a lot, because it was written in Pinochet time. There's some bad things on it, but there's some very good things on it. But the thing is, the people that were protesting for a new constitution, they say they want like Chile to be the tomb. I don't know how to call it, where you bury people, like the
The
grave, the
grave, the
grave.
graveyard.
They
Yeah.
want to be the graveyard of capitalism.
What?
So yeah. So I feel a lot like, okay, so left ideas, right wing ideas, okay, of course they have consequences, but killing the economy, like, that would bring just like poorness, you know?
What do you think in your time of reading and all that? How do you understand the behavior of some of these? They really convinced that, because I think it's like when Dr. Hawkins paraphrases Socrates, is people choose to do what they think is good, but they just don't know what the real good is.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I have no other way to explain why these people do it, because the way I see it and the way you see it is that this is not gonna have good consequences, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It just
absolutely,
it's just
exactly.
bad.
There isn't like going to be, I don't think, because the old constitution, which is from the 80s, was written by a lawyer who was an expert on the subject, and this new constitution is going to be written by politicians and people with zero expertise on writing constitutions. So it spells disaster for me. Like,
But
this guy's,
don't you need a lot of votes? Don't you need a lot of votes to change the constitution?
yeah. In fact, there was a ballot, like, there was a vote, and you could vote in favor or against the change of constitution, and in favor won by 80% of the votes.
Wait, are you saying that in one in favor, but they hadn't even written the constitution yet? The new one?
Yeah, exactly. They just wanted to change it, but the good thing is,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I think that's better thought. They're going to write the new constitution, and there's going to be another votation, if you approve it or not. And if you don't
Oh,
approve it, yeah. So
okay.
it's not
So
like they're going to write it. Then
oh,
yeah,
okay, okay. So at least it's not that bad. Okay, so
yeah.
but are they gonna write one version or many versions?
I think one version. Yeah,
Okay, but that's hopefully the people will do their thing, and if it's bad, which it likely will be, then they will reject it. Um,
yeah. I hope so. I hope.
but
I even hope, if they write it to be good, there's going to be a lot of people involved in writing it, but I don't think it's going to be better than the old one.
hmm.
Being honest.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's gonna be better. Um,
Yeah.
so I want to finish on a more positive subject. I was wondering what the relative size of your painting was. Was it like does it
Oh,
depend on the what the client wants?
yeah, exactly. I offer like 5 different sizes. They go from like 10 by 12 inches to 20 by 30, I think, something like that.
Do you have any
A bit less.
nearby?
Excuse me?
Do you have any nearby that you can
Sure,
see?
I'm making one. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Oh wow, look at that. Whoa.
So this one is
Wow.
on process of being made, but it's like, that's the dress. This is the biggest size I make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I'm doing this one. I'm also doing like this one. This one is a special petition from the client with a psychedelic background, you know?
Really nice. Really nice.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of making this. I hope I finish them by today.
Cool. And how do you ship them so they don't get any damage on them?
Oh yeah. I ship them in a tube, like folded, and the smaller ones I put them on big envelopes with cardboard.
Hmm.
So they always get there safe. I have never sent one in a tube because I've never sent one big, out of town, but this will be the first time I'm sending to another region of the country. And I bought some really hard PVC tubes, like
Mm-hmm.
from a polymer. So I think that they will. they will get there good in good condition. Yeah. The only thing, you have to iron them after you take them out
Right.
because they get like this, the form of the tube.
Like with the normal iron, you have to
Yeah, yeah. Just to
just
put a,
quickly, right?
yeah, and not directly. You put something in between,
Oh yeah,
to not burn
okay.
it.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
directly. Okay.
That's risky business.
Risky business indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, Let me see. Okay, I want to end on Dr. Hawkins. Like, if somebody's just discovering Dr. Hawkins, what would you recommend? Would be they start reading or watching? What was the
Oh yeah.
basis?
I would say, the new book, the Rainbow Book, the book that's called The Map of Consciousness Explained. It's a primer of dog works for beginners. It's specially designed for beginners.
Hmm.
So I will read that first, and then I would definitely read Letting Go or Successes for You, definitely. And
Successes for
then,
you. Wow, I'm surprised. Okay, that order. Successes for you.
yeah, yeah.
Because
I mean,
what do you say? Because some people are don't like successes for you because they're like, oh, it's written from a. Because he's kind of critical of the, let's say, of really bad restaurants and stuff like that. So some people are
yeah.
turned off. But you're recommending it. You're recommending.
Yeah, I think it's one of his best books. And I say that because the subject of success, it has just a huge number of books written about it. And this book is so simple and so much common sense. Like, he said stuff like, I want you to throw all your success books and start being friendly. Like, just be friendly and open-minded, friendly and open-minded. And I find his criticism of restaurants so good, so on point. Like, the truth is the truth. If a restaurant is bad, you don't want to get there again. I don't want to uh, get do my business in places where I get badly treated. It's so much common sense, and I think that's some those two are Letting Go and Success for You are some really good works to get into dog works, because the other books are more dense and enlightenment oriented. Like
Mm,
when you read Power versus Force, okay, it's pretty spiritual oriented but still worldly. Then Truth versus Falsehood, it's pretty worldly oriented. But if you get into the Eye of the Eye or the Eye, that's just like the dense stuff. Like,
right.
it even have a caveat emptor, I think, right? Like, if you're not truly committed, don't read this, etc.
I think so. I think if you want to get like really spiritual, like enlightenment, like stuff that he talks about, I think if you have the money to afford the lectures, I think definitely the 2002 lecture series.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think I'm reminded when you're talking about success book, there's somewhere in the 2002 lecture series he talks about the DMV, which is the driver's thing, the government body that deals with giving you a license and license plates and all that,
Mhm.
driver's
Oh
license,
yes.
um, and also the RRS. I think he says because people are so friendly there, and he's like, well, there's a huge, government bureaucracy. So, and then somebody's really unfriendly, but you can't fire them because I'm doing my job, and you can fire me because I'm doing my job. And it sounds like restaurants that are bad are basically behaving almost like a DMV and being just like strictly like robots and just like not put any soul into it, not putting any care of the customer. And that's what you're saying, that's what the success book is really good at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think it's called heart center principles
Yeah.
for success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hearts and Prince. Because I remember back in the day, they had when you used to call the theater to have the. Now shows how old the book is, but the theater would give you a reading of um what they were playing, and it was only shortly at the end, but all the rest of the information was not what the customer needed. So the things like that were not customer oriented, that were just like convenience for the people that made them.
Mm.
And it sounds to me like your business of painting is trying to be more, definitely your posts are funny because people are commenting under the posts, and there's great, like, people generally enjoy it, and you're also obviously doing it out of joy, so it's a great thing. And i hope
Uh-huh.
I hope out of this podcast that you get some more clients and that you're successful in your ventures.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. It's been a great joy, and I wish you much success.
Thank you. It was a pleasure for me. Much success for you too.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening or watching. Thank you.